All right, here we go with part 2 of our Nibiru session. We're starting right off with Morgan and Asher. They're getting ready to come on out into the tunnels and try to look for Seth. Seth's still not in a good place, so let's see if they can get to him. So we'll flip back to our other 2 contestants, and we'll pull the map here of of basically the Umbra. So you guys are coming from Nakatu, which is right here. Now, from what you got from Merrick, he said that they were traveling north to the flooded countries, which is right up here, as we can all see. Now, that's where their destination was. The service tunnel that apparently Seth went through was just before you started hitting the vaults that comprise the flooded countries. So as the tunnel starts to go farther lower and water starts to rise into it to make it a little bit like walking through like a couple inches of water, there's a service tunnel apparently there that leads off further to the west that he took.
Okay. Let's go there.
Yeah.
All right. So you guys start making your way out. Now, this blue line is the next gravity increase. Just so you know. Right now, Asher is at his stable zone. You've been here for at least a month or 2. You've gotten used to it. For Morgan, you're at your first, the first one down from your stable, which I think is still
I think it's still 0.
might be still a 0. Yes, it's still a 0. So it's not until you get further out beyond that that you start actually feeling the negative effects of gravity. Now, as you all start making your way out there, that's probably a good 2, maybe 3-day walk, depending on if there's any sort of interference. Now, the tunnels themselves, the main tunnels, like this big main passageway, they're mostly triangular in nature, triangular in shape. So you got a flat floor, and then the 2 walls just kind of go up to meet an apex up top. And usually, at this point, people usually string lights of some type along the tunnel wall, at least every couple of yards or so, to give you some sort of semblance of going in one direction or where things turn, right? As you guys start walking, maybe a day in, so knock a day's worth of rations off, and Kraj if you're trying to keep up with that to keep yourself stable.
I'll take that off the extraneous.
Fair enough. As you're walking, you start, I'd say maybe a couple hours into the second lapse, you start hearing this massive thunk, 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 thunk of like a hauler AI walking down the hall this direction. You'll hear some chattering, some people are talking, but more importantly, as they start to round the bend, you'll see the massive wave of electric light that kind of just bathes the tunnel. It makes everything much more well lit. And you will see several individuals, well, 3 individuals walking with this hauler. And this is what you're running into.
I remember holding my breath as the beast stalked past me. I had to smash myself into a vent to avoid its wrath.
So you're going to hide.
Yep.
Okay. 44, please.
Got it.
You certainly did. Awesome. So while Asher is walking with Morgan, when you guys see the hauler AI start to round that corner, you look at that and you look to go talk to Morgan, and she's gone. She flat out poofed.
Son of a gun. Well, I'm so there's somebody coming down the tunnel the opposite direction.
Yeah,
basically.
they're walking towards you. So you have the hauler AI, one individual who's like kind of piloting it, and then 2 that are walking with it.
Okay, I'll stand aside and let them pass. Give a cordial. How's it going? As I come past.
They'll nod, and you'll see it's a collection of 2 males, one younger guy, maybe you would guess not more than, essentially the equivalent of 20 years old, that is riding it, who's piloting the hauler AI. Older gentleman, probably in his 30s or 40s, that's walking alongside, and then a younger female on the other side of the hauler, just kind of walking with them. But as you nod, they'll slow it down. You'll see the old gentleman kind of nod to the pilot of the hauler AI, and they'll slow it to a stop. The old gentleman will look over at you and is like, "Hey, what are you heading out for? Going, you got something to trade? Are you?"
Not really. We're heading out towards the what are they called again?
The flooded countries?
Heading out by way of flooded countries. Heard somebody went missing out that direction, so asked us to
yeah, missing.
come out
That's
and go and find him.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Missing, and you'll hear a cough from the back of the hauler AI. This guy will clear. So like, hey, guys, we're just having conversation. And he'll look back at you. I'm sorry. We got some of our traders are sick. They're just not doing too well. You don't happen to have any pale weed, do you? I mean, we got some, but apparently it was a bad batch. I don't know.
I'm sorry to hear that, friend, but fortunately, being way out here in the penumbras, this is the Umbra, right?
Yeah, this is the Umbra.
It's like being way out here, far from the core. Fortunately, pale weed's something a bit hard to come by.
Yeah, which is why we thought we struck pay dirt when we got it. Mr. Lucas was trading with us, and he's a little weird, right? But we did a deal. We traded some stuff for him, and he sent over to us, and he just, he's off doing whatever it is he's doing, off one of those corridors. And
by the way, what is the Mr. Lucas that they're talking about? Is this somebody that I would have heard of?
You can roll 3d4 and find out. See if you recall it.
Do you remember something special, Corey?
This wouldn't apply.
No.
Yeah, this one wouldn't really apply unless it's like a I remember word on the street type thing. That would work, but this is a little more esoteric.
I don't know why it's just doing the 3, but whatever, that works.
It did it all individually. That's interesting.
Well,
but that's
you got a 4 though.
Yeah,
that's fine.
You did. So
I got,
yeah, you've heard of this guy before. He is. You don't know if he's a vagabond or just insane. That's a little hard, like a little shifty line there, right? He occasionally comes by Nakatu. He has somehow dealt with the Covenant of Enki enough to get a lot of pale weed. Like this guy brought in a great haul. Must have gone to the Penumbra to get it because they don't often travel down here. But people getting sick off it, that's unusual. Like that's not even something that occurs. Now Lucas himself only rarely ever comes to Nakatu or any other settlements around it. And if he does, he's there for one purpose only, comes in, trades, and leaves. He usually gets ammunition for his Death Spitter. Last time he came into town, it was a whole big affair because he got a servitor. Because he said he keeps on losing them in the dark.
Okay.
I'd say I don't know any of that.
So, you got some from Mr. Lucas, you said.
Yeah.
Has he been around lately?
Yeah. Like a week ago, I think it was. We were right on the edge of some of the other settlements. We ran into him on our way back. We've just kind of been out and around a little bit.
All right.
To the second they say a week ago, is it possible for me to like unhide slightly enough that Asher can see me?
Sure.
Okay. Morgan will wave from a little dark corner, tap her nose, and point at them like they know.
I do my best to kind of acknowledge that without actually like shifting my eyes, kind of like keeping my eyes on them, but kind of like noting out of my peripheral vision.
Yeah, she kind of appears subtly from behind a large conduit running from the ceiling to the side, along the side of the tunnel, the main passageway here into the floor. She just peeks aside enough and just gives her gesture, and you're just kind of like, yep, you don't even, in the peripherals where you see it, and just where you keep it. You don't shift, you just keep on talking to these guys.
Say, I don't suppose, you said it was about a week ago that you saw him. Any chance you saw anybody else with him? I don't know, did Merrick happen to give me a description of this guy that I'm supposed to be looking for?
Yeah, of Seth, yeah. Yeah, he gave you paler skin, short cropped hair, kind of like a sandy blonde color, and then a little bit of a goatee.
Alright. I was like, I don't suppose you happen to saw somebody else with him? Guy about so tall, pale complexion, sandy hair. Ring a bell?
The older guy's like, I don't really, but you'll hear the kid on the on the A just kind of cough like nervously. Oh yeah, wait, no, no.
I'm gonna.
There's another tap to the nose and a point to the kid.
Just kind of nods softly. No, it's like, all right. Well, that's a shame. But you know what? If you do happen to find out anything about it, or if you hear anything, just you know, if you happen to be walking by this way, let me know. Pass some information to maybe somebody in town. I'm sure that if he's got anybody who knows him back in Nakatu, they would probably like to see him back. So,
Just to creep them out from the darkness, I'm going to whisper, they might have some pale weed in it for you.
The older gentleman, you'll see, seems a little tense. Like,
From the darkness.
right. You speak up. He looks in your direction. Does seem a bit
Hiding.
shaken. Does seem a bit shaken as you pull back. And he looks over at Asher like, listen, I wouldn't go, honestly, down that direction if I were you. There's something out there that hunted down and killed one of our team members. We had a team of 6 when we came out here. Now there's only 5 of us coming back because something, I don't know what it was, came out of one of the service tunnels and dragged us back into it.
let's see. So, I'm getting this fuzzy memory of a time. It's like of a time when I was clearly displaying some unusual behavioral patterns, and my handler was busily speaking to a number of other individuals, looking at me nervously the whole time. They left, and he came back to me, and I asked him if there was something wrong, and he replied to me, "Don't worry, everything's going to be fine. Just we're going to get you some routine maintenance." And that was the first time I ever noticed a human lying to me.
Okay. All right.
Actually, I don't even need to throw it because it's pretty obvious. But I'm
Yeah.
also
So,
human,
how many memory points do you want to spend for that?
I'll do the 2.
Okay.
Not break the bank yet.
So you can tell, first off, the older gentleman is telling you the truth. Something did take one of their people from this caravan into the darkness, and he does not know what that thing was, and it has terrified him. However, the kid that's on top of the hauler AI, he's nervous as hell. Like, he knows a lot more than what he's speaking up to, and not just about what was seen, but the person you just described, about Seth's description. He's seen that person. He knows who
I don't
that
do
is.
magic, Morty. I do science.
Oh.
One takes brains, the other takes dark iron.
Hey,
We
at
have
that.
a bonus being given to the players. All right, we'll knock that down.
well, please don't create any more shrubbery Garoth here.
Not
We
here,
have enough
but
with phosphoric graph.
if you want to give it to those swimming creatures, I will let you have that one.
I mean, the one that remains that's not pinned to the bottom of a fucking tank.
That's a hard no.
That's a hard
all
no? Okay. But yeah, that kid on the hauler AI, he knows a lot more than what he's saying. And he actually, whenever you gave the description of Seth, he got really nervous.
Should we call that one +1 to empathy?
Sure.
Okay.
Which may or may not be the reason you got the nose tap from Morgan.
I will. I'll finish typing that out.
Okay.
I don't know the point. When we switch back to Jeff, I'll type.
Yeah, no problem.
But we'll kind of nod a little bit. Well, it does certainly sound like it could be a problem. But you don't mind my asking, is your boy up there okay? He seems a little skittish.
To fear, he's fine. He's just new people make him nervous, especially out in trades. There are bandits, there are ravagers, all sorts of bad things. So, especially when voices come out of nowhere, and he just kind of looks around, it puts him on edge.
That's fair enough.
I remember this one time where I had to hide in the darkness because a creature was coming toward me that I could not possibly best. Instead, I bounced my voice off the walls around me to magnify them and said as forcefully as possible, "You will leave me alone." And it left.
Now, here's the shit part. When you spend your memory points, you get a penalty. Now,
That's fine.
you'll take the -1 penalty to this thing. I will let you, since you're doing it anyways, to succeed, but you will gain an inspiration point because whenever that happens, you get an inspiration point because those are awesome. You'll bounce your voice, but it's not quite perfect. It kind of leads in the general vicinity of where you are, but definitely doesn't point you out specifically. What do you want to say to freak this poor kid out?
Now's the time to tell the truth before the creature gets you.
This kid's like, listen, all right, I don't know who that is. And just shout like all around the front of the hallway guy. And you'll see the girl next to him just kind of slap him on the leg, like, shut up. He's like, no, this is already, I didn't sign up for this, all right? Listen, we ran
Maybe
into
a little
this,
smirk in the darkness from Morgan.
we ran into this guy, yeah. He was going through a service tunnel trying to figure something out with that, and we had a deal with Lucas that if we found anybody by themselves, we can just knock him out and he'd trade us pale weed for it. I don't know why he wanted him. I don't answer these questions. You know, like, Yusuf, you're the one who set this up. And the old man looks at him, is like, I will. He just raises a fist and shakes. Like, he's just so pissed off. You can see it. You can feel it in his body language. He's like, and the kid's like, listen, I don't care at this point. Either they're going to get a wayfinder on our asses, or when we go back to Nakatu, we're all screwed. Regardless. We knocked the guy out. We ran into Lucas. We traded him for pale weed to Lucas. And then the next thing I know, we were also split it up. But a couple of our two of our people try to steal it. They're sick now. I don't know what's wrong with them. But then something came out of the darkness after us and dragged one of them off into a service tunnel. That's seriously what happened. That's all I know. I just want to go home. I want to get paid for what we got, and I'm done. I'm done.
All right. Let's all calm down. I understand that things have probably been a little bit stressful. But come on, folks. I mean, I know you need pale weed if y'all sick, but everybody around here, we're supposed to help each other out. This isn't the way we're supposed to do things. So tell me, like, if you saw where this man went with this poor boy, just let me know so I can help him.
You see the older guy just kind of shake his head. Obviously, the jig's up at this point. And he just looks over at Asher like, he's about a half a day. There's a service tunnel that heads out west.
All right.
It's
This
the first,
creature.
It's the first one you'll run into right before you start getting to the flooded countries.
All right. Now look, I'm gonna pretend I never saw y'all. Okay?
Yusuf just
We've
kind of
all-
nods. All right.
We've all got our own things. We've all got our things that we need to deal with around here. Quite frankly, I don't have the energy nor the inclination to turn you into anybody. So just please don't do this again. I don't know what's gonna go on for you from this point onward, but you already lost one of your folks, so at this point I'd say your debt's been paid. So can we just all move along? Forget all this ever happened.
I'll take that deal. Yusuf just kind of shrugs. The kid's like, yeah, we still gotta get them, somewhere they can get some help. And the girl's just kind of like, you guys are idiots. And she just kind of chuckles.
I'd say from the darkness, there's that one's smart.
Eh, she's smart, but that's also probably the one that's gonna get y'all into trouble.
That's the one that could have saved them from trouble. Come back here and there will be trouble.
We're moving. And you'll see Yusuf kind of nudge the kid on the leg, and he'll start to holler out, and he'll start just clunking further down the tunnel to go away from you guys and towards Nakatu.
Okay. I was like, hey, one last thing. That thing you saw. Roundabouts where?
In that tunnel.
Well, guess I better keep my eyes open then. Right? And then we'll let
From
him
the
pass
darkness right next to Asher, you just hear, or learn to hide.
So you
on.
guys...
Like I look over and just... if you wouldn't mind, give me a little tap before you do that again, so that, I'm clued in. Last thing I need is to just turn around and slap you if I hear if I hear something weird coming out of the darkness. I would.
If I want you to know where I am, you'll know like you did before. I may not be meant to survive, but that doesn't mean I can't have some fun on the way.
I would appreciate it if you would perhaps have that fun not at my expense. No.
She is super cheery. So
She actually laughs a little bit, just like very darkly laughs and goes, "Oh, you thought that was at your expense? That's fun."
So you all continue walking, and you'll get to where the main tunnel starts to branch off a bit, and swings a bit to the west. Now, for
I'd
the
say I
most
was actually
part-
trying to look on the map as to where that was.
Yeah. Well, not anymore. You're not. For the
Damn it.
For the most part, a lot of what you're seeing as you start getting to larger tunnels and systems in the Umbra are sites like this. A lot of the fungus across the floor and up some of the walls actually all has that bioluminescent glow that casts that cerulean light on everything. There's a lot of old paneling on the walls. Some of it's attempted to be repurposed. Some of it may have been damaged and like collapsing of other tunnels. But some of it's just rent. It doesn't look like it's in full repair as you guys make your way through, these passageways.
The
And like-
fungus is among us.
It most certainly is. And like they were saying, it's like a half a day's walk. And you start going down this area. And as you start heading west, as the main tunnel branches out and turns that direction, you start feeling the subtle shifting in
I
gravity.
don't do magic, Morty. I do science. One takes brains, the other takes dark eyeliner.
How dare you,
Uh-oh.
sir? How fucking dare you?
Fungus. Okay. So it is most...
Fungus is sus. Vote out the fungus.
Fungus is
Airlock.
sus. Damn.
I'm voting fungus.
I am not going to turn that down. So you guys get to a point where you start seeing the water at your feet is starting to rise a little bit. Whenever you take steps, it splashes a bit, and that sound just echoes off the walls of the passageway. Once it gets to maybe about 2 to 3 inches deep, you can see a break in the wall of the tunnel. It's a narrow break, small little service passageway, not a main tunnel by any stretch. Like here you're looking at maybe 30 yards across at some of the largest portions. This is like maybe 5 or 6 feet wide at most. And you can tell it's there because the light that's coming from the fungus that's just under the water is casting the glow upon the walls, and there's a break where it goes from being that blue shimmer across the wall to just black. You start making your way towards that service tunnel. And as you get there, this soft, repetitive thud, like metal on metal, starts echoing down the twists and turns of that service corridor. You hear this almost constant drip, like water's leaking down from the ceiling and like just dripping into various pools of water, not necessarily just down the service tunnel, but also more towards the flooded countries. The air itself has a stronger fungal musk to it. Not a lot of it here is being cultivated, not in this particular area, so it kind of is growing rampant and kind of filling the air. There's a small scent of rust and oxidation in the air as well. But as you start making your way down this tunnel, there's only really room for one of you to walk at any one given time, unless you're crowded next to each other. Now, the walls of this passage are not lit, unlike the main corridor. However, both of you have a glow lantern with you that has like a small bottle stuffed with fungi that you can either put on either. I know that at least one of you has a spear. You can tether to the top of that as like a light stick, or you can just hold it. However you guys want to do that, it's up to you.
I'll hold it.
Okay.
I'll stay behind him.
So you start walking through this corridor. The water here is roughly about ankle deep, and it is utterly cold. Every time you walk, you leave a splash. There's really no way to avoid it because there's no like raised levels, no elevated passage or anything like that to walk upon. You're just walking in this ankle deep water. And as you make your way, you travel for probably about 2 hours, and this service tunnel just twists back and forth. It goes north, then back west again, then back south, then back west, then back north. It's a winding service corridor, and these echoes that you're hearing, this thumping, and the small ghostly whispers of conversation, are just bouncing off the walls back and forth. That it's hard to tell once you hit a certain point, like, is it coming from behind you or in front of you? Because now it's bouncing off the walls behind you as well and hitting back in your direction. It's a little disorienting. Now, for Morgan, this is even more so, and this kind of leaves you in this feeling of dread. For Asher, this is not an uncommon problem in the tunnels, especially when we get further away from civilization. Sound bounces, and it becomes almost like a skill to echolocate where an actual sound's originating from, as opposed to what it's bouncing off of. And that's something you pick up with time or memories. But you continue traveling on. What you end up coming to is this small little outcropping balcony that overlooks what appears to be like an old power plant or processing center. As a matter of fact, you come to a spot
I had to hide from the monster orb.
where you see a cage down below you.
Admittedly, I will be tapping Asher on the shoulder before I do my holding my breath as the beast stalked past me. I had to smash myself into a vent to avoid its wrath.
Okay.
Okay. Like he'll just give give a soft sigh, but nods and kind of look down.
I got one.
I'll just, I know I don't see them or anything, but I'll ask the guy. I'll be like, hey, man, since you're going to kill me, can I at least get a smoke before I go?
Why? And you'll see, and you two, as Asher and Morgan arrive at this, you're on this like narrow little walkway, and the water that's been in this tunnel, the service tunnel, the whole time, starts to kind of drip and gather into the puddles along, the waterway that we see down below here in the picture. Now, to either side of Asher, given his past and his memories, it's a doorway. This was once a sealable doorway. Now it's just completely open, and water's just kind of like just making little waterfalls and splashing down into the pools down below. Now, as Seth asks his question, you guys will see that individual, what you assume to be probably Mr. Lucas, is standing there at that table in the back end, and now he's actually chopping meat. You two recognize he has a little glow lantern right above the table, and it's casting that bluish light down upon the table that he's working on. The same type of clothing and colors and fabrics you saw in the traders is on that creature that he's chopping apart right now. He's literally taking a butcher's task and like separating meat from the bone. He's making serviceable meat here out of one of those traders.
That's not normal, right?
No. You guys
How
have
hungry
fish.
is
You
my
have
little nightmare?
sheep. Your nightmare is nervous about this guy. Like you kind of reach down deep to that connection you have. You're not quite summoning it yet. You're just like, it's still there in the back of your throat, in the back of your head. But when
I'm checking to see how he's doing.
But when you make that connection, it's concerned.
What do you
I'm
and I'll just say,
surprised you're not
what
hungry.
do you mean?
What do you mean? What do I mean? Why do you want
What
to?
do you mean, why? Because
Well-
I want to have something before you fucking murder me.
Well, your lungs will either collapse from the force of gravity over time, or you'll get used to it. Either way, it's gonna only add like another day onto your life expectancy. Why? Listen, the more time we spend talking here, the more I feed you potential information and memories, the more that you can relay that to our creators, and I can't let that happen. So we probably shouldn't even be talking.
How? I don't even I can't even comprehend what you're fucking saying. I have
I
no
was like-
connection to anything that
Letting
He's
Asher
made
see
us-
me again, I just do this
He
have
slams
any-
and point at him.
He slams his machete down into the torso of the corpse and just stops and looks at you, puts one hand on the table like, listen, you and me and people like us, we're not real people, right? We are experiments. Whatever made all of this, and he'll do this grand gesture that sweeps across this entire power area, the power plant area here. Whatever looks in this facade we see in front of us, whatever made all this, made us. And we're here to figure out how humanity works, how their memories work. We're just like vessels that they pour memories into, that they steal from humanity, and they just see what comes out. We got to stop it, which means all of us got to go. You're not the first.
So-
it's okay.
Is my little nightmare
Smoke
still
too much.
nervous?
Yeah.
Listening to him say all this, like, can I get a quick empathy check to see if he literally believes this?
Sure.
Like, does he seriously believe what he's saying?
Doubt. I have no doubt he believes this whole fucking heartedly.
I may have to summon my very nervous little buddy here in a minute
Go ahead.
because I don't like what he's saying.
Well, you
I'll
should.
just
So
tell the
base
guy,
three. So
what
base
gives you
3
the
plus
right?
1 for the memory, right?
Yes.
I may not be meant to
and
survive, but
you've got
he's
2
meant to
successes.
survive.
You got 2. Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yes. He believes this so much. Like, you can see the fervor in his eyes. Like, you're newly acquired a memory of empathy and how to, like, read people. Without a doubt, this man's, 1, completely fucking insane, and 2, believes every word he is saying.
Hey.
3, he made a connection. Something that he says that he feels that him and Seth are alike. You know Seth's a vagabond.
Okay. Yeah.
And the way he's talking about memory, it doesn't fully make sense, but you can understand it as an interpretation of how some of you will function. So either he knows what you are, or he's one of you.
So this balcony that we're on.
It goes out
That's overlooking this.
maybe 3 feet from the wall. It's
So
very
from,
narrow.
from the darkness, little eyes are just looking at Asher like, what the fuck do we do here?
Yeah. And the cage that you see that Seth is in, it's very clearly Seth. You can see him through the wires and through the metal. It's him. It fits the description perfectly. Now for Seth, your football, by the way, is by that table.
Right. No, I figured. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we got one of two. It's like, well, we got one of 2 options. We either distract that guy and get him the hell out of here. Hopefully get to Seth quickly enough and get him out. Or we get the drop on him and knock him out.
I mean, we could take care of the problem.
Jeff, you will hear first, since you're on the same level, that metallic thunk, thunk, thunk. The pacing at this point, you're aware, is number 5 as he's
Right.
walking back. He has a bunch of pale weed and what looks like a silken satchel. And as he's walking, he has a decanter of some foul-looking liquid that he's slowly pouring over it as he's walking towards a table by your captor. And as he gets within, I'd say, about 5 or 6 feet, he goes, "Master Amir Lucas, the last year pale weed has been prepared." And he sets it down on the table, turns around, and starts to slowly start cleaning things up. Lucas looks at the pale weed and goes, "For the next caravan. Good, thank you, 5. 5 doesn't say anything because he's a servitor. He just acknowledges that his master said thank you, with the barest of nods, maybe a minor beep that just echoes in the area here. At that point, Lucas looks back at the cage with Seth, rips his machete out of the corpse on the table, kind of wipes it off on the bloody tabard that was covering that former traitor before sheathing it, picks up the pale weed and goes, "We'll continue this talk later, or honestly, we shouldn't continue it later. Maybe our time is at an end." And he'll start walking down the passageway that 5 came out of.
While he's walking, I'll just say down the hallway, that's not sanitary.
You'll hear his footsteps fade into the distance as he walks down that passage. Now you do
I'd
see...
say that's the little pointing at the dude who just walked down the hallway. Like, that ain't right.
So from you guys' perspective, especially Asher, where you're kind of closer to the edge there, you see Amir walk beneath you and kind of vanish underneath the tunnel you guys are in.
Okay.
For you, just so you guys are aware, I'm sitting with my back against the back of the cage. My knees are up, my arms are kind of over my knees, and I'll just kind of drop my head like, hopeless. Like, I'm stuck in here. This guy's going to cut me up and use me for whatever, and he's a fucking psycho.
Okay. The servitor. What's it doing?
It's cleaning the area. Apparently, Lucas left a rather gross mess on the table. He's been cutting up
large mess?
body parts, so it's just kind of like polishing the surface with like an old, like blood-soaked rag as it's trying to make some sense of cleanliness here. Following, obviously, with memories of other machines, this is very standard. It's there for general maintenance and whatever special requests are made. So it's defaulting back to that base human programming that's been put onto it, which is make sure the area is clean where master works. It's trying, but it's not making a lot of progress.
Experience, like, most AIs aren't violent.
No,
Like, they don't.
no, not at
Oh.
all. So with the AIs, especially in Nibiru, you have two sets of programming, right? You have the native code, which is essentially what it was originally programmed with. And then on top of that, you have the human programming. Now, humans haven't quite cracked how to make an AI core yet. They haven't quite cracked how to really reprogram or design the AI, but they do know enough of the code to impose their own directives on top of their native coding. And so what happens is when an AI goes rogue, they catch that virus, there's a conflict between native code and human imposed code. And that creates moments of spontaneity and free will. But normally, AI are not violent unless ordered to, and that's very, very rare because AI cores can't be created, only found. So why would you risk AI cores in violence?
Yeah. But I also recall... I recall the merchant saying something about
Oh, a creature.
his... well, the creature, yes, but I also recall him saying something about his last servitor being trashed for some reason.
Yeah.
Like he had...
Well, that was when Lucas said he lost his last servitor. That's when he came and got 5.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what you remember from Lucas being around town, like what was going on with rumors with this guy. He's a little weird, eccentric. He comes and trades. So he traded Paleweed for another servitor. He didn't say what happened to the last one or the 3 before that. He just said, I lost number 4, I need number 5. And that's where he got this one.
Is it time to throw up yet?
It's such a weird combination. Is it time to throw up
Did you
yet?
say that out loud?
Oh yeah, just quietly enough that you can hear it. Is it time for me to start throwing up?
Kind of like slowly turned to look at her. It's like,
She's actually smiling at you, and it's weird.
I'm gonna go with no right this second. Let's save that for if things actually get dangerous. Because that is what you're referring to when you say...
She points at the servitor,
It's like,
and then
he ca-
points directly below them where he just went. Then points to all the water, like, we don't know what's in there.
So from your vantage point, though, you guys can see that past that table, past that servitor, there's another series of tunnels that continues on. It's just obstructed by the table. Like, if you hopped over that table and got past, like, around some of the machinery, there's another passageway to go.
Well, and then also pointing at the table, like, that could be where the thing came from.
But you do have, like, a good 20-foot drop from where you're at, your vantage point, to the actual floor beneath you, with all the metal floorboards.
Okay. Is there any, like, if we look around, is there any path that we can see to get down to, like, where they are?
Not that's easily accessible. So essentially what you're looking at is the remains of an old walkway that may have once been a balcony overlooking this, like, power plant. But the walkway's been rusted and broken over years of neglect and, like, misuse. And so it only goes out about, maybe 3 or 4 feet from the edge of the doorway, the service tunnel that you're at right now. So there's nothing really a safe way to transverse unless you want to, like, jump down and try it in athletics, or, like, go to the edge and hang down and then just drop yourself. That would be a safe way to do it. But getting back up is the hard part.
Yeah.
You guys can spend a point of inspiration to minorly alter the scene a little bit to create an asset that you could use.
Oh, yeah, that is true.
Yep. So if somebody wants to spend an inspiration point, they can say, well, there's a ladder just to this side that's not quite rusted away yet, or maybe a cable hanging from the ceiling that you guys can, like, shimmy down, that type of thing.
So I will spend that inspiration point to say, hey, it's the ladder right over there.
Okay.
Looks like it's sturdy enough to hold us.
Mark it down. And so for Asher, as Morgan points this out, you hadn't seen it
Where do I
before,
mark that?
but it's actually go into edit on the character sheet, and you can see where I have inspiration points and memory points. Just reduce your inspiration by 1.
I have no inspiration listed on here, but I did just gain 1, so...
Well, 1 second. Let me open
Oh, wait,
it
no,
up.
there it is. Influence, not inspiration.
I'm sorry, influence points. That's
Well,
my
actually,
bad.
it's 6 because I gained a memory, so...
Yeah, so you'd
I
still be
didn't
at
know
6.
we could do that
Yeah.
earlier.
So it's influence. That's my bad. Inspiration, story points, they all kind of get jumbled up sometimes. But yeah, so she points this out as she spends her influence point. Asher can see it's just right around the corner from where you guys are at. There's this ladder that goes down right beside the tunnel that Lucas went through.
Where is the servitor looking?
The servitor is. This is creepy because it's hunched over the table, right? Because it's like 7, 8 feet tall. It's hunched over the table. It's polishing with one hand, holding itself steady with the other hand. But its face, the lens, focus lens it has, is directly at Seth. So it's literally like it's here hunched over, but it's looking this way and just working.
Okay. Okay.
And for Seth's gratification, that's how it's been the entire time Five has ever been in this room with you. It's always staring at you while it's doing whatever the hell else it's doing.
That's why my head's kind of down under, like, in my arms, so I don't try not to acknowledge
Kind
that.
of
Because
creepy.
right, on top of the fact that I'm going to die here soon, this fucking thing won't stop looking at me.
Fair enough.
I'd rather be in the
So-
Dreadlands.
Oh, I don't know
may
about
not
that.
be- This may or may not be a good use of influence, but I'll kind of look around on the walkway a bit and kind of look to see if I can find anything. I'll kind of reach down, kind of grab a little bit of like the catwalk hand railing that's maybe like broken over time and kind of fallen down. That's kind of just sitting on the walkway. I'll burn an influence for that.
Sure. Oh yeah, definitely. So a lot of the stuff here is like rusted and aged. So find something you can break off for like maybe a foot or two worth of metal. Not a problem at all. Especially with an influence point. Like yeah, you find exactly what you're looking around. Like what can I use? You find a great spot, maybe like a little twist, and very quietly like a little tink as you break it off.
Okay. I'm going to use that, and you said that there's tunnels. Shoot.
There's a tunnel that lines, pretty much beneath you. Another service tunnel that, Lucas walked through to get underneath you. Essentially, he walked down below you and then back past the way you came. On the other side of that table, where the servitor is at, there's another tunnel that leads that direction.
Okay. So just kind of, because I know that the tunnels can be a little wiggy.
Yep. Especially when they're off the beaten path. When there's nobody's been down here, nobody's explored this area. This effectively is a pretty good hidden portion of the tunnel. Not a lot of people come this direction. When they travel that main thoroughfare, that main tunnel to get to the flooded countries, they continue going that direction. Like, you don't stop, like, whatever. It's just a service tunnel. There's nothing, usually down there. And maybe if somebody came down here, they saw this, it's not really worth exploring because there's no, like, actual power sources here. They go elsewhere. Lucas just set up a little nest here for himself that nobody's noticed yet.
Okay.
No,
So,
until now.
Right.
yeah.
Senpai
So-
noticed him.
I would like to try and get my bearings, more or less to see like which direction the tunnel he went down is going towards, and which direction the tunnel that leads off in the other direction is going. If it's going deeper into a higher gravity zone, or if it's going. So I'd like to use some navigation.
I know you have the skill, so go ahead and roll your navigation. Very good. So the tunnel that Lucas went through almost follows a very similar path that you guess, at least, the way that the tunnels are structured and what you know of the general area around the flooded countries. That tunnel probably goes a little further down, so it might get more intense gravity, but it's probably going to head almost towards the flooded countries. The tunnel ahead of you, just thinking about the stories you've heard about the service tunnels around the general area and looking at old maps that have been explored, from ages past when you were first trying to get, acclimated to what was going on around Nakatu and the Umbra, this tunnel probably goes further into deeper gravity, the one that's past the servitor. However,
Crush a servitor.
that also means that it's probably unexplored, and if Lucas has set up shop here, it means he didn't go further that way.
Okay.
So that might be a way to loop back around to the flooded countries. Worst case scenario, it's an unexplored tunnel system that goes somewhere else, but it still gets you out of range of Crazy Man.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that little bit of pipe, and I'm going to kind of lean down over the walkway, like lean down over the edge of the walkway, and I'm going to toss it down the direction Lucas went. Like
Oh.
basically to
I see what you're
kind of
saying.
serve as
Yeah, so you're gonna lean over and be like, fling it underneath you.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So you want to distract the servitor with that noise so he leaves. That's what I'm assuming,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yes.
So you lean over. You hear the walkway creak under your steps. You know, it's old. It hasn't been maintained in a long time. So there's a little bit of give. When Asher leans over that railing, which is where he broke off the stick he has right now, there's a moment of like, is it going to hold me? But you give it a little testing lean, and you kind of slide yourself over. And once you get to where your center of gravity is over, like straight where the railing would come up, you feel safe enough to just lean over a bit more and hurl that thing down underneath you. You manage to get to where it bounces off of the floor paneling and start rattling down the tunnel that Lucas went through. And you pull back quickly. The servitor who's there suddenly jerks upright completely. It was leaned over that table cleaning it. And you'll see its torso shift first in that direction with its head, and then its legs will slowly shift around and it starts walking that way. And it's like, and you hear it, Master Lucas, are you okay? And it just walks very stiffly in that direction. Within probably 10 or so seconds, it passes Seth's cage and disappears into that tunnel beneath you. From Seth's point of view, it keeps walking. Master Lucas, are you okay? Master Lucas, do you require assistance? And it keeps walking that direction.
As soon
I'll
as
get
it's
up.
gone.
And I'll
You just
try.
roll down the thing.
I'll try fucking with that lock again.
Well,
Maybe this is my chance.
with your escape artistry, you're going to have to bang it or find some way to finagle it. So it's going to take a minute, but you can definitely roll.
Well, I'm gonna spend an influence point because remember earlier when I broke off that spear, I left it real close to this cage.
Fair enough, fair enough. I'll give you a +1 dice for that.
Okay, fair.
So you guys, you start making your way to that ladder and start climbing down. You'll see Seth is finagling with a piece of like rod, and he's jamming it into the locking mechanism, trying to open this lock up.
From the darkness that is that ladder, you'll just hear someone else's voice that's not Lucas go, shh.
Seth
I got one success.
Seth hears the first lock go clink and open, and then you'll hear like a shh from just slightly above you into the towards that tunnel.
I'll kind of try and look up and see what I see.
I'll actually let him see me and just wave.
You'll
And put my finger to my lips like, shut the fuck up, dude.
you'll see Morgan, and then more so you'll see Asher. Now you don't know them, but you have seen them around Nakatu before, roughly around the tower of. Wow.
Merrick?
Yeah. Thank you. For a moment there, I was like went blank around the Tower of Merrick. So you recognize them
I'll
from
just
town.
Right, but right now I'm not sure who's with me and who's not.
Yeah,
That's
so
a fair point.
I mean,
I'll just shrug,
admittedly,
like, what?
the servitor went that way after something clanked down that way.
Right, I get it, but
Direction
maybe
of
you
your
want to
fucking
grab me
down
and
about.
take me somewhere and fucking eat me too. Like,
so
why else
I'm-
would you be here, right? Like, I'm only been around a week.
Yeah, but I'm gonna come down that ladder, and I'll kind of head over. You said he wrapped wire around the locks.
Yep.
Okay, so I'll grab my knife and do the best I can to kind of like try and start plying and cutting that away.
Morgan will
help
actually
him out.
grab your wrist and stop you.
Like I kind of look back
And
and
wave her finger like, no. Ray, I have lockpicking.
Yes, you do.
Oh,
So
it's like I'll let her continue with that. But
yeah,
I
but
need to
so
get the wire
he's
off
trying to
of
get he's trying to get the wire, not the locks. There's one padlock left that you can work on. He's trying to get the wires that have been wrapped around it.
It's a
Yeah, the
wire.
broken-
It's unwinded.
Just so Razor aware, the broken lock, I'm going to grab that because that would be a beautiful thing to throw.
I'm going to
Okay.
spend an impulse to re-roll all of that.
Okay. Otherwise, you get a free negative memory right for that. You got 3 ones.
Yeah.
There, I'll take that.
How'd you get a
You
5?
rolled some
You rolled
D10.
D10s.
You roll D10.
That's okay.
had
I
to roll
still rolled
D4.
a 4.
That's not acceptable. Reroll that.
Fail.
Can't be rolling D10s and be like, it's fine.
Still got a 4.
It's
Still got a 4 though. You're still good. So with your knife, you actually managed to pick that lock with ease. For you, this is like a rote activity. Like you understand this. You remember the fear, when you remembered how to do this type of activity,
I'm having to open the lock or...
right? Or die. But you focus yourself, get the edge of the knife in there, and you click the tumblers in, and you hear it just clink open. As
I
at the
was
same
never going to
time,
survive. I just keep finding ways to do it.
Asher's unwinding that wire. So probably within about 10 seconds or so, as this AI is still thunk, 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 walking down that tunnel, you guys manage to open Seth's cage. Seth's free. The door opens, man. Like it has opened. So again,
I'll step out and I'll grab that second lock too and put that in my pocket.
okay.
And she's going to point to the ladder like, we need to go up there. Just
We need to get the fuck out of here. That guy's nuts.
Yeah.
I'm gonna quickly but quietly go down where the table's at to get my fucking football.
Okay. So you make your way.
And I'm gonna keep the spear.
So you make your way towards the table to get your football. You have that length of rod that you can use as a spear that you kept miraculously close by. But you'll see the tunnel. There's a sudden flash of red light as that one lens is viewing directly at you as you make it to the table, and everybody hears this weird like, and the klaxon goes off
Fuck.
time to vomit.
and goes protective mode activated. Now Asher will hear a subtle hum of code behind the modulation of this servitor's voice, and you'll hear that door that had been open all up top suddenly go creak and just grind to life as it slams shut on the service tunnel you came through.
Ah, fuck berries. All right.
Well, this way. There's a tunnel over here.
Yep.
Not a wise plan.
We ain't got any other plan. Let's go.
Just tell
It's
me
a-
when I'm supposed to vomit.
I don't know what the fuck that means, but I'm gonna hop over the table.
Trust me. It's like, trust me, son. You don't want to know. She told me, and I didn't want to know, and now I'm telling you, you don't want to know.
You haven't seen it. You don't know that you don't want to know.
As you guys, well, since Seth is right by the table, you just one palm it on the table and fling yourself over the corpse that's there underneath the old robes, land on the other side of the table. Everybody else coming up will see again the same color and style of trader's robes you saw on those that were on the Holler AI, but it's just blood and viscera underneath it. It's like the guy was butchering for meat.
I'm just going under the table.
You slide
I don't
under.
do magic, Morty. I do science. One
I'll
takes
go
brains,
about.
the other
You
takes
can-
dark eyeliner.
Oh, Ken has graced our players with a bonus dice. All right.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
No problem with that. You guys are at 2 bonus dice right now. You can use it at any time. And with this type of system, these dice are very, very valuable. So
Yes.
you guys will all make it past the table and rush into this other small corridor for a service tunnel. As you start running that way, you hear that metallic thunk, 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 the steady beat of that servitor as 5 comes into the area lit by the glow lanterns. However, what kind of punctuates this situation is you hear this sudden bing as a despitter spike lands right next to the tunnel wall beside Asher's head as you guys are running into that tunnel. And you'll see Lucas running towards you. He stops at the head of the tunnel that he went down and starts heaving as he doubles over and just like, oh
Shit, he's like me.
and you'll see black mist and spittle just start flowing out of his mouth, and it
That's like literally
emerges.
hear Morgan say, "Shit, he's like me."
It emerges out of his mouth as this creature just grasping onto the surrounding environs and pulling itself free as that black mist coalesces and solidifies into a physical form. Now, what you will see coming towards you from down that hall, did I load it up?
I don't do magic, Morty. I do science.
did.
One takes brains, the other takes dark eyeliner.
Thank you
For the
that.
vagabonds, not Lucas. Damn it, man, that's not fun.
Thank you. Phil's over here making it even for his 300 for the fucking plants earlier.
Which, yeah, that's true. I mean, you ain't wrong. What you will see rip its way out of his maw. It's a weird, disjointed, ragged form, but when it opens its mouth, it's got a pointed jaw, almost like a semi-bone structure on its face with multiple eyes, and these weird, like, sharp points that kind of come off the crest around its head. I'm actually going to show you guys a picture of what you see here, because this is fun.
It's okay. Morgan's about
This
to. Oh,
thing
yeah.
Oh.
is where it rips itself out of Lucas.
Morgan's about to start heaving.
And it starts
Yeah, that's a whole lot of fuck all
charging.
that noise.
As it solidifies, everybody's, well, I'd say probably a good 10, 15 feet into the tunnel at this point in time. You'll hear Lucas say, subdue them. And just this an
Cool.
animalistic hiss as this creature starts pounding across the floorboards towards you.
Cool. I'm gonna start heaving.
Oh.
I will literally whip around as he starts doing that, like, bitch, really? Try me.
All right, so roll 1d4. First
Monster
off,
battle.
you have to spend 3 influence points, which I know you have. That's not a problem.
I'd say
Yeah.
I've got plenty.
And then roll 1d4. On a 1, the creature refuses.
Oh, on a 2 through 4, he comes out.
On a 2 through 4, he comes the fuck out. What's the one sentence command you're giving it?
Kill Lucas.
Oh,
She ain't fucking around.
damn.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, so
Literally, she starts heaving. This thing rips its way out of her mouth. Go ahead, Ray. Show them what it looks like.
so Morgan's nightmare is much more smoky and shadowy and just made out of darkness incarnate. When that thing bursts forth, it's this really weird, like, contrasting sight to the one you saw from Lucas. It's this shadow creature with these massive talons. Its head is constantly smoking. The eyes are on fire.
Hands.
As it starts
Wow.
to burst its way down the tunnel back towards where you guys came from. Now, what's funny here is you guys' orders, both Lucas's and Morgan's, weren't stop the other nightmare.
No.
No.
Lucas was subdue them, and Morgan's was kill Lucas. So literally, they just burst past each other and don't even fucking stop or pause.
Which is
Like
fine.
thieves in the night.
Can't do us, and Lucas is dead. It has nowhere to go, and it dies.
That's also very true. So
That's cool and all, but
I have
I'm gonna run. Like that's super cool and everything, but I'm out.
fair enough.
Gone.
Now, Morgan, do you stop to see what's going on with your nightmare, or do you just keep on going with everybody else?
Nope, I told him to kill Lucas. That,
Okay.
that other fucking nightmare's not stopping him.
All right, so you guys rush through the service tunnel as you hear the scratching of this thing's claws against the metal floorboards, the way it bounds across the grating, as you also hear that weird smoky flow of your nightmare hissing as it makes its way down that service tunnel towards Lucas. You guys burst out of the service tunnel into a large area that is open to air, but there's a problem.
It's heavy.
It's all exposed girder work. It's all framework. You guys have to run across narrow I-beams to get to the end of the next tunnel. And that's where we're going to close out episode 2 of our Nibiru session. Now, beyond the craziness of the two nightmares passing each other like ships in the night, one going after the players, one going after Amir Lucas, they have managed to get a moment's breath as they got a bit of way, and they emerge into this massive skeleton remains of what was probably a series of rooms. We're going to stop there and see how they decide to navigate across these beams, or if they're going to make a stand. We'll find out in the next episode.